Hey, what's up, Earthlings and Life Beings? It's Rod D and my homeboy DJ Orange Ninja on the ones and twos, doing how he do, bringing those hot beats and sound effects to you. And this dynamic duo is known as Orange Ninja News. Now, it's about that time. Let's get to the news.
Okay, today's topic is a time machine. Not saying that whether one do or don't exist, but there's a guy that was making a time machine, and we're gonna be talking about that guy today. I know a lot of us wish we had a time machine. Sometimes I'll be in my truck and wish there was a button that I could mash that can alter time, and then I get to my place where I need to be, start the time again, or could just suddenly flash in time and be to that space. The only thing is, that would mess up with the logbook though, man. Cause we got those electronic logbooks. It's like, how did you get from here to here in no time at all? It's impossible. You had to do something. Yeah, you can't too much cheat with no electronic logbook, man. Just the way that go, where the cookie crumbles. Yeah, but I also read a book back in the day called The Time Machine, and then the movie came out. I think there was a old movie done back in the day about it, but in the 2000s, they had came out with a newer version of The Time Machine. It had the British actor, and he ended up going in time to the future where they had two groups of humans. They had humanoid-like creatures that lived underground, and then they had the regular humans that was, on top. And the creatures on the ground would come up and snatch a regular human every now and then for food. It was a crazy movie, but yeah, you probably seen it. If you haven't, the movie's called Time Machine. Check it out. It was a nice movie, man. I really enjoyed the book, and then some movies don't be as good as the book, but I think that one did the book justice. It was a pretty good movie. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about today, man. We're talking about time machines, and I seen a post from D-Shine News Post, and that's what this story is. It's about Mike Markham, the man who worked on the time machine. Okay, but first, before we get into that article, I'm gonna get into another article. This one's off of GiantFreakingRobot.com, and the author of it is Nathan Kamal, and we're going to get back to the other article in a minute, but this one is called Astronauts Thinks UFOs Are Actually Time Travels from the Future, which I thought was really interesting, being that every time we talk about extraterrestrials, and the way they're described is more of looking humanoid type. They're not like robots, or what you would think that, you're seeing robots first, just like how we sent robots to Mars. We sent the Mars rovers and stuff like that up there. We send the robots first before we put boots on the ground. So, that's why some people have a theory of maybe it's actual future humans. They look different because they're from the future and whatnot. and they're just actually time travelers. And it goes, well, the article started off, Occam's razor is a philosophical principle stating that entities should not be multiplied beyond necessity, or as more commonly put, the simplest explanation is often the correct one. And you apply that principle question of what are UFOs. Seems some people believe the simplest explanation is that they are human time travelers from the future. So, in an interview with the popular show Good Morning Britain, European Space Agency astronaut Tim Peake stated that he had heard theories that potentially in the future they would develop time travel. And it says, to be fair, British astronaut Tim Peake was clear that this was not his specific theory, or that he necessarily believed that UFOs were actually far future time travelers. In fact, he specified that ultimately no one knows what unidentified flying objects are, because of course they're unidentified. And it says Michael Masters published a book titled Identified Flying Objects, and possibly what we commonly think of as aliens visiting Earth and spacecraft are in fact far evolved versions of humanity that have taken the role of time travelers to visit the past. Okay, with this theory right here, man, it would be, I say if it was future humans visiting the past, they wouldn't be able to interfere with anything, and the only thing they could do is just observe, because if you were to do anything, it would affect the future, and then the future that they left, they can't go back to it, because it wouldn't be their future. It'd be changed, you know. So, you know, if somebody accidentally got killed or something by one of them, then that whole bloodline will be wiped out, and then the guy that designed or probably come out with a cure or whatever in their future never existed. So that could even wipe them out, you know. So in time travel, that would be a thing. You wouldn't be able to touch anything. You could only, if you go back in the past, the only thing you could do is look around. Anything you touch, you don't know, it could change the history of everything. So yeah, that would be weird. And it says, Professor Masters' essential justification for this theory is the idea that we already know humans exist on Earth. Supposing the future humans have developed technology that allows them to become time travelers and observe their ancestors is in fact less fantastic than the idea of unconfirmed extraterrestrials life have developed interstellar travel and used to visit our planet for unclear reasons. And he's thinking that the future humans will come back for a form of tourism and for archaeological research. You know, to go back and look, oh, this was in ancient times, this and that was going on, and go back and take pictures, look around in ancient times, but not able to interfere or mess with anybody or talk to anybody, anything, only there as an observer. And this part I think is real interesting. And it says, this is an idea that has been previously explored in science fiction as in author John Varley's 1983 novel Millennium, in which far future time travelers abduct humans throughout history to populate a devastated Earth. And then they came out with a movie from that book in 1989. See, the idea of UFOs as time machines and aliens as future human time travelers come at an interesting time for UFO researchers. And yeah, it goes on to talk about how now they, in the Senate, they're doing those hearings now, and they're actually starting to talk about UFOs and stuff like that. And it was they did a first Senate hearing on UFOs in 50 years. They just did that recently, so yeah, there's a lot of talk about UFOs right now. And yeah, I didn't know about that book, Millennium. I'm gonna have to read that one. They said it was out in 1983. It's by John Varley, and it talks about future humans trying to repopulate a devastated Earth, so they had to come back and get people. But again, that theory right there, that book right there is flawed, because you have to think, if they come back and get people to take to the future, they actually alter in the future, so they wouldn't be going back to their same future, because now they took people out of a timeline, so they couldn't have kids who will have kids that have kids. The more humans they take back is more human timelines that they wiped out. So those people wouldn't never exist. The people that would have came from them would have never exist. And a lot of those people, kids and grandkids and on, know which ones would have been the ones that created the technology for them to have time travel. So the whole thing, probably time travel wouldn't exist when they try to take them back, because it's not their future anymore. They disrupted the timeline. Okay. I don't know, the guy didn't think about that part before this book. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting article. So I wanted to get into that, talk about that one before I get into this one. All right. Without further ado, I get back to the main article, which is from Deshaun News Post, and it's about Mike Markham, the man who worked on a time machine and mysteriously disappeared. It starts off there. There are several stories around the world about brilliant people who have attempted to construct extraordinary technology. And Mike Markham, a man who tried to build a time machine in his backyard but inexplicably vanished. And they said he's an example of people that try to build marvelous machines. Mike Madman Markham. Now, why you have the nickname of Madman? That's crazy. He was a madman trying to go in the future, trying to go back in time. Mike Madman Markham attempted to build a time machine in his backyard in Stanbury, Missouri in early 1995. He started working on a gadget known as the Jacob's Ladder. And I heard of the Jacob's Ladder before on a popular radio show called Coast to Coast. It's all about unexplained stuff. Okay. He employed a modified compact disc laser to reduce air resistance between two poles. A continuous arc will result as a result of this. When you turned on the device, you notice an unusual effect. A heat mark was similar to what you'll see unheated pavement, except it was circular like a vortex. So he decided to test the effect by throwing a sheet metal screw through the vortex to see what happened. He claims he vanished for almost a half second before reappearing a few meters away a second later. Okay, so to me, I'm thinking that's less of a time machine and more of a teleportation. You know, like on Star Trek, when they teleport somewhere, they can be on the ship and be like, okay, beam me down, and they'll beam them down to the planet or whatever. That's teleportation, you know? It seemed like he teleported instead of went in time, because he said he was in a different spot. You know what I'm saying? He appeared in a different spot. He went from one spot to another. That's teleportation. But he saw it as part of time travel, and that's what he was trying to do. So, let's see. It says he was only 21 years old and a student of electrical engineering. Markham was highly brilliant when compared to his peers. Well, he wasn't no dummy, so, I mean, the guy knew he was trying to do it, and he had the brilliance to pull something off. Especially if he can figure out a way to make himself teleport, even a short distance. Markham allegedly attempted to construct a time machine to obtain future lottery winning numbers. Man, that's what a time machine for, man. Why have a time machine if you can't go get the lottery numbers out the future so you can stack some paper, you know? Who would want to do that, man? Who would want to go get the lottery numbers? However, it had a flaw. It required a lot of electricity to function. The CD laser caught fire after extensive testing. He reasoned that he could use larger transformers if he were to rebuild the machine. He had intended to purchase the transformers, but they are incredibly costly. He had no choice but to turn to the alternative. There were 6 ancient transformers at the local power station. Markham took 6 transformers. Oh, man. So the alternative for him was stealing. He had the money to pay, so he's like, I'm just go, I'll just go grab something. He turned to the life of crime to get those transformers. So he took 6 transformers weighing 300 pounds from a King City, Missouri light and power generating station. Yeah, he couldn't be by himself though, man. So he took 6 transformers weighing 300 pounds. I don't think one guy did that by himself. His homie's like, yeah, I'll help you out, man. Just keep my name out of it, yo. There ain't no way one dude did all that by himself. 300 pounds, that's a lot of weight to be moving for one person by themselves. He produced a significant blackout on several blocks in his area while testing his experiments. On January 29th, 1995, Gentry County Sheriff Eugene Lupfer apprehended him inside his home on a warrant for stealing the transformers. Yep, and that's what happened when you turn to a life of crime. They end up putting those silver bracelets on your wrist. Ended up locked up for a minute. Markham was released from prison after several months. Oh, okay, well, he only did several months. Ain't too bad. By that time, you've been lifting little weights. No little jail lingo. But not long enough to, you know what I'm saying, to get too accustomed to the jail life. Then he was invited to join Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM as a guest. Mike told the tale of the screw and his plans to construct a time machine there. He promised that he would do it lawfully from now on. Yeah, because he didn't like the jail time, so he's like, from now on. No more stealing. No more. Let me fly the straight and narrow. Now that Art Bell from Coast to Coast, yeah, that dude had passed away. I don't remember what year, but anyway, it's a new guy that do Coast to Coast radio now. But it's a good little radio program to listen to. But you know what I'm saying, some of the stuff on there, you're gonna be like, you know, a lot of stuff on there be believable, and a lot of times they even have scientists and stuff that come on there and talk. So it's a real good show. But sometimes they get into stuff like Bigfoot and stuff like that, and everything. You know, days like that I wouldn't listen. But you know, the other stuff where, you know, that could reasonably be real, you know what I'm saying? I'll be checking stuff like that out. Good little show to listen to. Late night driving. You got nothing else to do, you know what I'm saying? Some good entertainment. Yeah, so Malcolm told Art that he still intended to do another experiment but lacked the funds and extra parts to do so. During the interview, he offered his phone number and received calls for 3 days straight. Malcolm benefited greatly from the broadcast because many listeners shared ideas, funding, extra components that he needed to complete his long-awaited invention. So that was pretty cool. So after he went on a radio show, the Coast to Coast radio show, and talked about what he was trying to do, was a lot of people like, oh cool, I'm with that, and started donating. And they not only donated money, but they also donated parts and stuff. He's like, I'm trying to buy this part or this part, and they, you know, started kicking in. His next time machine project was more powerful and more significant than the last, thanks to the assistance and donations from his listeners. The previous motor was planned to run at a kilowatt rate, but it was built to run a 3 megawatts this time. He intended to put the equipment to the test on himself. And yeah, that's the thing with, I don't know why he would do that, be a guinea pig for his own experiment. I mean, they usually go get like lab rats or something like that. You know, start off small, something like a little lab rat or something like that. Malcolm also installed a rotating magnetic field similar to the United States military's in the Philadelphia experiment. Okay. See, the whole thing with the Philadelphia experiment, man, that'll take a whole nother show for itself. But if you didn't hear about the Philadelphia experiment, there's a government experiment, and I heard different stories to it, and a couple of guys that said they was there, they've been on different radio shows and stuff and talking, and man, Philadelphia experiment, that was something different, man. You hear everything from guys being melted into the ship, and talking about going to they went to a whole different place. Some saying to a different time, some saying to like an alternate universe. I mean, it's different. I heard different, they got different stories of it, depending on which guy's giving this account. But yeah, that was, man. So anyway, let's get back to it. So he used the same magnetic field like the Philadelphia experiment. Okay, that's why they call him Madman. Okay, I get it. Because that is wow. Alright. Magnetic fields to rotate, he claims, are more effective and efficient. Mike Malcolm again guested on the Art Bell show a year later. He said he was tinkering with a more advanced time machine to enter the electromagnetic vortex. Markham said at the end of the interview that he was about to generate the required voltage level to run the machine. Mike said he would bring his cell phone with him if he ever succeeded in the time travel. Mike decided to reveal his address instead of his phone number at the end of the broadcast. Yeah, taking his cell phone, that would be smart. But this isn't but cell phones back then wasn't the cell phones they are today, so it wasn't a smartphone. It was the regular first generation cell phones that came out. You call and answer. That's it. It wasn't no smartphone. Markham said he had 30 days to finish his legitimate time machine during his second and final visit to the Bell Show in '96, which Markham hasn't been heard from since then. So, the last anybody heard of him, he was going to get in this time machine and take off. And that's the last anybody heard of him. Many speculations concerning him circulate in numerous forms, speculating on his likely demise. Shortly after Markham vanished, a listener called the Art Bell program to tell him about a weird story he had heard. Authorities discovered a deceased guy on a California beach in the 1930s. In an unidentified metal tube, he was crushed to death and discovered a suspicious contraption alongside his body. The item seemed to be a cell phone, according to the caller. And they say, could that have been Markham? He tried to go to the future, but his machine made him go back to the past instead. And then he ended up in the 1930s on the beach. Well, that's one theory. I say another theory is, what if he got so close and then he was even using some of the technology that the government was using for the Philadelphia experiment, and he was going on radio shows and talking to the papers and anybody that wanted to listen to him, and the government got wind of it and was like, yo, this guy, man, we're going to have to go snatch him up. So they go another possibility. And then you had a possibility he took his cell phone, but if he went so far in the past, well, cell phones weren't out yet. Yeah, if he went far enough back where people were still riding horses, the cell phone ain't gonna work, and the materials that he would need to build another time machine and get back to the future wouldn't exist either. So he wouldn't be able to build another one to get back. There's that theory. Then another theory is, well, if he went far into the future, and whatever was going on in the future is like, yo, you can't have this type of technology, and you're going to have to stay here. And there you go. I mean, there's different possibilities of what happened to dude. But the fact that he would build his time machine and say he's about to go into this time machine, and then he disappeared, and that's the last anybody ever heard of him, and that's been back in 1996. So you'd think you would hear something from the dude. Because another possibility that I'm thinking of, okay, he got a lot of donations from people, and they was giving him parts for his machine plus money, and then he tried his machine and it didn't work as he thought it would. So he took the money and kicked rocks because he was too embarrassed, moved to another country, changed his name. That's a possibility, but you got to think, by now ever since 1996 to now, he would have been and said, I'm over that whole embarrassed stuff, and you know what I'm saying? Or he'll get found out, especially in today's age. Everybody having smartphones and stuff. Somebody like, oh man, I've seen this guy picture before. And then boom, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got the internet these days. Ain't no way he could stay hidden if that was the case. And as far as them thinking he had an accident when he tried to go, his body would have still been there. You know, something happened to him and his life got extinguished, you know what I'm saying? They would have saw his body by his contraption, but only his machine was there, and he was gone forever. Man, that's yo, when you think about that, man, yo, that's crazy. Yo, what if this dude is stuck in the past? And since this will be the future now, he would have grown old back in the past, and his kids will still be around, but you know what I'm saying? Maybe not live this full life in the past. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's mind-boggling. But yeah, so that's the story of a guy that, from what they say, was a real smart guy, smarter than his peers, and really believed in what he was doing, and thought he had everything figured out, and actually built the time machine. He didn't just say he was going to build one. He actually built one, and whatever happened to him after that, that's up in the air. It's different possibilities. When you think of one, hit me up. I always leave my contact info in the description. But yeah, man, that is crazy, man. Yeah, and hit up the comments. Let me know what you think. Alright, so with that, it's about that time. As I usually say about now, y'all be peaceful and blessed, and peace.